The Vraxian war fleet descended upon the mining colony of Kepler 442b with the confidence of apex predators. Commander Zekthor watched the settlement through his tactical display, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. The humans had built their outpost in a canyon, trapped like prey in a den. "Deploy ground forces," he ordered. Standard pacification protocol. The first wave of Vraxian shock troops materialized in the colony's central plaza. They had conquered 47 worlds using the same tactics. Overwhelming force. Swift brutality. The species of the galaxy had learned to surrender quickly, but the humans did not surrender. The first sound that echoed through the canyon made Zekthor's secondary heart skip. It was a deafening roar, primal, thunderous like some ancient beast awakening. His troops scattered, seeking cover, their thermal scanners sweeping for the creature that had made such a terrifying noise. Then came another roar. And another. Different pitches, different rhythms, but all carrying that same raw, savage power. "Commander," his lead scout reported, voice trembling. "We cannot locate the source. The sounds, they come from everywhere." Zekthor enlarged his display. Through the tactical feed, he watched his elite warriors, soldiers who had stormed fortified positions across a dozen star systems, cowering behind debris. They had faced plasma cannons, orbital bombardments, and chemical warfare. But these sounds triggered something deeper, something instinctual. The roars were the sounds of dominance, of violence unleashed. Then through the chaos, a human voice cut through the thunder. Clear, calm, almost casual. "Reload!" The word meant nothing to Zekthor, but what followed made his blood run cold. The roars intensified. His troops began falling. Not from energy weapons, their shields could handle those. These were physical projectiles, moving at hypersonic speeds, tearing through armor that had been designed to withstand particle beams. "What are they using?" Zekthor demanded. His tactical officer's appendages trembled as he analyzed the data. "Kinetic weapons, Commander." "Chemical propulsion. Primitive by galactic standards, but..." He paused, his voice cracking. "The velocity. The impact force. It's unprecedented." Another human voice shouted across the battlefield. "Covering fire! Move up!" More roars erupted. Zekthor finally understood the roars weren't creatures. They were weapons. Human weapons that announced their fury with every discharge. He pulled up archived data from the human homeworld. Earth. A planet that had somehow produced a species that weaponized controlled explosions. Where other civilizations had moved directly to energy weapons, humans had perfected the art of hurling metal at lethal speeds, and they had never abandoned it. The files showed weapons with names that sounded like war cries themselves. Rifles, shotguns, machine guns, cannons. Each one roaring its defiance. "Second wave," Zekthor ordered, his pride refusing to accept defeat. "Heavy armor units. Those primitive weapons cannot— RPGs up!" The human shout preceded a new kind of roar, deeper, angrier. Zekthor watched in horror as his heavy armor units, the pride of the Vraxian military, erupted in flames. The humans had fired rockets, self-propelled explosives that screamed through the air before detonating with devastating effect. His troops were in full retreat now. The discipline formations had collapsed. Warriors who had never known fear were fleeing from an enemy they still hadn't clearly seen, an enemy that announced every attack with the roar of barely controlled chaos. "They're insane," his tactical officer whispered. "They carry explosives into battle. They control miniature detonations in their hands. Every shot could misfire, could explode, could kill them. But that was precisely what made humans terrifying. They had weaponized danger itself. Every time they pulled a trigger, they controlled a miniature explosion inches from their faces. They had lived with these weapons for centuries, had made them extensions of their will." A human emerged from cover, weapon raised. Through the magnified display, Zekthor could see the human's face. Not contorted in rage, but focused, calm. The human's weapon roared 3 times. 3 of Zekthor's soldiers fell. Then the human did something that would haunt Zekthor's nightmares. The human smiled, ejected a small container from the weapon, inserted another, and continued firing. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. "Reload!" That word again. It wasn't a battle cry. It was a statement of intent. A promise. The roaring would continue. Zekthor gave the order he had never given before. "Full retreat. All units return to ships." As his fleet pulled away from Kepler 442b, he watched the humans emerge from their positions. They stood in the open now, Weapons held high, the sun glinting off metal and polymer. They had defended their colony with weapons that other species considered obsolete. But there was nothing obsolete about effectiveness. The Vraxian Empire's archives were updated that day. Next to the entry for humans, a new designation appeared: Apex Predator Species. Approach with extreme caution. The note attached was simple. They make their weapons roar. They make their weapons sing. And when the singing stops, they simply reload and begin again. They have turned violence into art and explosions into instruments. They are not to be underestimated. Zekthor filed his report and looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, filled with species of incredible technological achievement. But the humans had reminded him of a fundamental truth that the Vraxian Empire had forgotten. Sometimes the old ways endured not because they were primitive, but because they were perfect, and the humans had perfected the art of making thunder.